You're here.
Awesome.
We'll try to like leave you unscathed today. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm really glad that I get to do this.
Hi, this is Coop's dad, and this is personal to me. Birthday is June 28th, so we wanted to do a special podcast because of that. And as you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on. I've
a lot of really cool stuff, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I've kind of already on my way up here, I did a Instagram live, just letting people know we've got a bunch of different stuff that's going to be coming next month. Yeah. Not really stating what things are, but like merch drops. We've got some special podcasts.
The new merch drop is really cool.
Yeah.
And the one that me and Alex came up with.
And
is
you're
cool.
you're doing a design. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to make sure we definitely have to have you.
Yeah, me and Alex.
Anytime.
We're done, I think. I mean, the design's done. Yeah, we figured it out. Cool. It's really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's like something that I feel like Cooper would wear. So it's
and we also have, so we filmed these. This is the End Overdose building. And,
oh, cool. I didn't know that.
We also have merch every drop for End Overdose because that's what Coop wanted to sponsor. Yeah. So anything that anybody purchased from End Overdose, all those proceeds go to that foundation, which is doing great work.
No, they're awesome. When I did the Narcan on tour, and people were really just like touched by it too. There was only probably like 15 or 20 Narcan things at each, but they were all gone every single time. And people
what
really
we're seeing is that all your fans and everybody that follows Cooper and you and all the other influencers are all reposting that now.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Theo told me that prior to Cooper's involvement, their following was, modest, but it blew up.
100%.
And now it's continuing to blow up.
It's really cool. Theo's a really cool guy too.
He's the kind of guy that you want as a friend and also as a bodyguard.
Yeah, exactly. I really liked his demeanor and like perspective on the whole situation, because that's the hardest part. What's the hardest part for me is like no one knows even like the perspective they should have on people who are struggling with drugs or people who are like using drugs. No one knows how to like view that situation. I feel like it's getting better, but
well, he's been there. He's a recovering addict.
Yeah,
he's lost a girlfriend to drug addiction.
That's what he said. Wasn't it his fiance?
Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah,
he turned his life around, became an LA City firefighter, paramedic. Yeah, and felt like, and he just focuses on one thing. I'm not here to get you to stop doing drugs. I'm not here to educate you on
because
drugs.
It's been proven
that doesn't save your life.
Yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, it's this weird. As someone who's like been through like a drug battle and luckily like been able to kind of keep my head over it a little bit, but in a real way, you never really are. You're always kind of beholden to it. It's so crazy. The things that encourage you to stop, it usually very often comes from like within. It's very hard to stop something from an outside objective or someone else, even doesn't matter how much you love them.
You got to get there on your own.
Yeah.
You got to get your journey, your path, whether it's hitting rock bottom or a fear of losing something or whatever the catalyst is. You got to make that one on your own. Yeah. Theo, his focus has been, look, if you're overdosing, here's something we can do to help save your life.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's up, maybe give you another day and it's something you can do on your own.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's great that they support us and we support them and we get to do this stuff here. But it's interesting, Jaden. It's kind of like how, I never really thought I would be here. Yeah. Like this was not part of my plan in my 60s to be doing podcasts or being involved in a foundation or having Coop gone. All I know is that I'm here. I think I met you. We all met you through Cooper, but I met you, I think, the first time when you came to our house with Quentin.
Probably. It's so funny because that whole
that's what it was. You'd already met Treva.
Yeah, because Treva would come down and bring us goodies when Cooper would first come out. The whole it all happened very fast too, which is my favorite part about my relationship with Cooper was.
A lot of people don't know how you guys met. I'm not really sure how you guys met. I just knew that Cooper was huge in your life. You were his best friend. He loved you. He would talk about you. And I had not met you. And Treva said, he's a good kid. I'm like, okay, so he's a good kid, he's a good kid. You know, but I'll reserve my judgment when I meet him.
Yeah, she was wrong back then. Maybe I'll turn out to be something good. But we met because of Quentin. I think Quentin and Cooper had met at this social media thing called Playlist Live like a few months prior.
Was that in Florida?
Florida, yeah. Okay. So I still hadn't met Cooper. I think I had seen him, but I hadn't really met him. And then we were at our house in Bel Air, the first one we lived at.
Is that, that's not Sway?
Yeah, that was Sway.
Sway, okay.
It was the first one that we all kind of lived together in. And he just showed up with, that was the first day I met Lydia too.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
I met Cooper and Lydia the same day, so that's really cool. And she did not fuck with us at all, but it makes sense. Like she like didn't want to talk to us or anything. So, but
really?
He showed up with like 5 people, and I remember I was just in my own world, and like I don't know, there's something about him. I literally couldn't even tell you to this day. I just got this unction to be like, why, you know, like why are you hang out? Like come hang out with us. You know what I mean? Just come stay with us. And he was like, okay, and he didn't leave for like 4 days. And so
I remember when Treva said, "So like, where's Coop?" Because he was up in LA. You go. And
yeah,
well, he'll be coming home. He's not coming home.
Yeah, because he didn't really come out to LA very often. I remember him saying that. So
I don't even know what sent him up there.
Yeah, it was literally I just said stay, and he was like okay, and we just clicked off bat. And the part about that house that was cool for me too is although there was like 5 of us, 6 of us living in there, it was a very very big house, and so there was a lot of like kind of isolation when people were doing different things, and so. Me and Cooper were just always together. He would stay up like in our upstairs room. And so anytime I was like bored or lonely, which was all the time, I would just go kick it with him. And, you know, we both smoked. And so it was just like, and off rip, we just had like very deep conversations and we connected more than I think I've connected with anyone else in my entire life, just off rip. You know, I have really strong connections with like, you know, Shannon and Justin and Parker too. But even then, like I didn't meet Parker and it was like an instant connection with Cooper. It was literally like I met my soulmate. So.
You know, a lot of people don't know that Cooper was that deep of a person.
Oh,
he could get deep and connect.
He was the only person that I felt like could meet me on that level because I've had a lot hard times like controlling my emotions.
I know.
And he went through a similar thing. So our kind of manicness of like being extreme, very very sad or very very happy. You know, I connected with him a lot, especially with just like music in general, like. Everything that I did, I always say this, when he passed, you know, I didn't realize this until probably like 2 months ago, but when he passed, it was genuinely like a part of my personality, a part of my like mind passed too. And I didn't see it that way, but I felt so empty for so long. I mean, still it lingers right now, but I've started to take steps to help myself. But, you know, it was just so confusing why I felt so like, empty.
Like a piece of you's missing.
Yeah, and it really was just because everything I did, I would like do it and then look at Cooper or look at Cooper and then do it. You know, like he made me feel, people don't know how safe he made me feel, you know?
You know, a lot of people, when we get a lot of messages from kids and fans really all around the world. And the one things they always say is about, you know, how he helped them, he saved them, his videos, you know, was so positive and he was funny. But they looked at the lighter side of Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Treva and I didn't really know that he was that deep of a person. Mm-hmm. We always knew that he was empathetic and cared because he would do things along the way that normal young kids you wouldn't really see them do because they're kind of immature.
He's definitely very empathetic.
And he would, I was shocked to see that he really connected with people on a real deep, intimate level.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he would talk with us individually.
Yeah.
And his relationship with his mom, different than with me. Cooper, when he talked with me and wanted to get real, he'd always say, "Hey, Dad, we need to get real about this." That was the code word. And it was like, oh, he's got like something really, all the joking side, Dad, step back, listen to what I have to say. This is real.
It was cool for me to, before kind of I knew y'all very personally, which that happened very quickly. But I mean, the way Treva was like, you know, he knew that he kind of had Treva, you know, like on his pinky and he loved it. But with he was like, he like revered you, you know, like you were like his like idol of like, I don't want to like let him down. So that was really cool for me to get to see how much he loved you guys, you know, and it sucks so bad. Like when he passed, I felt such a weight, you know, because the thing about me and Cooper, was Cooper was an empath for everyone, and he was an empath for me. But then we got so close that it was at a certain point, he was like, he didn't really care how I felt at certain points. You know, he was like, fuck it. He was like, this is my best friend. And that's how I felt about him. I felt like I could do anything, you know, and he was just there
He was
for
just
me.
non-judgmental.
Yeah, but
He really cared and wanted to protect you.
yeah, without a doubt,
There's
more
some
than anything.
really cool clips on social media. I think they originated maybe from Hunter, where you guys, you know, Cooper went with you on your first tour, and you guys are backstage, and you know he's offering support. There's one that breaks my heart where he's talking really close to you about how you're going to kill it, and this is about you, and that you're about to go on stage, and he goes, "Hey, wait a second!" Everybody, he grabs everybody else, goes, "Hey, let's pray." Remember that?
Yeah.
And you guys all have your arms around each other, and he says a prayer before you go on stage, and wow, I just thought like, that's a Cooper I never saw.
Yeah.
You know, he's so deep.
So deep. He had a lot of faith in a lot of things. And I mean, yeah, I never met anybody that was at the same time, like, because he was very troubled. That's something we connect a lot with, like, so unsure, but he was like so sure at the same time. And it made no sense. But kind of what I was just about to say is this kid could do anything, you know, and it was just so needed. Like anything he ever did, I just needed him around me. You know, I needed to hear his jokes, or even when he would get mad, like it was one of my favorite things in the world. Like there was just nothing this kid could do that would like change how I viewed him. And he knew that. And I knew that's how he felt about me. And so, I've never had a relationship like that with anybody in my life.
He respected you.
Yeah,
when he
sure.
talked about you, he talked about you like you're his brother. But it was different. He talked about you from I can't explain it, and I don't want to paraphrase it, but what I do know is like, it's interesting that Cooper loved music, but he wasn't really musical. He grew up in a musical household with me and stuff, playing guitar and doing stuff with people. He was also very creative, but he didn't do creative things. When he did it, he was really good.
Yeah.
One of the things, like you, he is very athletic, and similar to you. Both of you guys are really good athletes, can pick stuff up.
He really was.
And both of you can pick a sport and play it well.
Yeah.
And but he really wasn't in the sports.
He was so funny.
But
Killing it, bro, shredded. Dude was an absolute ridiculous skater. Like, I'm so bad at skating. I would just go skate with him just so I could get him to skate because he's so good. And I would just like nuts. Like I was so bad, just ride around on my board. It was
skating,
so funny.
surfing. I remember I saw him hit a golf ball once, I think he hit golf balls for like about 10 minutes. And it's like, the dude's like natural.
And
basketball, he could play. Volleyball, he could play.
Really good at volleyball.
But he just, it wasn't his thing. But it's interesting. The few things he started before he passed, they've gone like ballistic. They've gone like international, literally international.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, wow, the power behind certain people.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I think music is like the biggest one. I mean, I think that I don't think I know I have an ear for music that no one else has. You know, I think there's a lot of people in the world that have that. I think I was born to hear music a different way. And like, I've never met anyone except for him. And that's why another reason why we connected so hard, especially because I started music because I went to a Juice WRLD concert when I was.
And that was his guy.
And that was his guy.
He loved Juice
WRLD.
So
bro, like this man showed me probably over 400, 500 unreleased Juice songs. Like that's all we did was just like listen to Juice. But it wasn't just music, like songs, you know, like he really heard it and I saw it in his eyes. And so he was my muse in a very real way. So when he passed, that was another thing that fucked me up, was like my career. Like I felt like I didn't know what it was, but I just wasn't in my brain, you know, so disassociated. I didn't have creativity or like inspiration, and it was so troubling. And
that's interesting that you say that, because that's not. Well, you say that, and then what? I think it was like 2, 3 days, 4 days later, you come back to our house.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to listen to something that I wrote, and you did those 2 songs, "Beautiful Boy" and
Even in the Dark.
Yeah, and it was like, I remember we were sitting around the kitchen table, and we all just freaking lost it. Like, not only was it so that you could do this in a short amount of time, but it was so perfect.
Thank you.
Those were so perfect about Cooper.
For sure.
I mean, from somebody's heart. And it's like, I mean, to me, it's like divine intervention that someone can actually do that.
Yeah, that one was interesting. I mean, to be quite frank, I mean, you're probably aware of this. You might have even gone through this a little bit. I can't even imagine you in Treva's position, but you know, for me, after he passed, it's just kind of like a shut off. You know, I went into like autopilot. I didn't feel like the first week, 2 weeks, it was like uncontrollable emotion, you know, and then it all just kind of at his funeral, it all just kind of like went away, and I just went completely numb. Up until literally I was in Toronto on my last tour, and that's when I had my first sign, like 9 months later. But for 9 months, I just was running. Like I didn't want to feel anything, and I went in the ins and outs of like how I was trying to cope, and like I was just like not helping myself in a lot of ways. But yeah, that feeling of being present just went away immediately.
What happened in Toronto? Can I ask you that?
Yeah.
And first of all, there's things that you don't feel comfortable talking about. Feel free. It's fine. It's not about.
That. No, this is I feel I'm just glad to be here. I'm very grateful. I have a lot to say, but it's about a time and place on when to say it. So I'm glad this is kind of the first time I get to talk about it. I really wouldn't want to talk about it anywhere else. But Toronto was really cool. I just did my second headline tour, my third tour, and we did 36 shows across America. We did one show in Toronto, which was my first show in Toronto because I haven't been able to get in because of legal stuff. And so I finally got in, which was great. Shout out Canada. I really enjoy Canada. Toronto was beautiful. And we're there. And long story short, it's kind of hard to explain because this unfolded probably in the time of like an hour, right? It wasn't just kind of like a 5-minute thing. It kept unfolding. But after my show, it was a sold out show in Toronto. Like I said, first time there, and I was having a really, really hard day. Like I said, I've just been running. I was going through a breakup, and I was really hurting. I was really confused. I just felt so empty, and I was just like, I had nothing left. I was really getting to a point mentally where I was like, I think I might have to stop the tour.
And you got to go perform.
I have to go perform, yeah.
Wow.
And and that's another thing is like, it's not just like a physical aspect of everything. Like your mental plays such a crazy game on you. And I was so terrified to go into this tour because it was the first time I'd done this since Cooper passed.
Well, I don't think you've performed Even in the Dark or Beautiful Boy, but you've got Tell Me About Tomorrow, which, first of all, your fans are going to want to hear that song. And that's a song that when I hear it, I cry. And it's like, I don't even know how you can, how you can do this, but you know it's coming.
There's a trick. I just play a little bit of Tell Me About Tomorrow. I play it out of Pray because it's funny. It's very hard to sing. And that's why I don't sing Even in the Dark or Beautiful Boy. It's because I've just never done it. And I did an acoustic performance at one time, and it was like, but that was very fresh off of it. So it was really hard. But this next tour. Was that
at the Undone Lacquer? Uh-huh. Well, then you and I did the Even in the Dark. Then we did it at that thing. For those of you that don't know, we have this concert in our community every year where it's basically just people from the neighborhood. And it's people like me that grew up in music. There's other people that have had a career. There's up and coming artists. There's kids. It's really fun, and everybody loves it.
And it was cool.
But Jaden, you're the only person ever allowed to do it that was not from the community, like not a blood relative or not grown up there.
Yeah.
Or but because we did it for Cooper, a tribute to Cooper's passing, it was just a few months after.
That was very sweet for me.
We did a rehearsal at our home that was good, but when we got up there that night, it was like, oh my God. First of all, I couldn't hear anything. The sound was really bad. But it just hit, and it was like I struggled to like stay with it. And if it wasn't for you, keeping me together, man, those songs are so powerful. And everyone has reached back out to me from that concert and has said, that was the high point. That was the pinnacle. That was the best song because it was so heartfelt. Yeah. And yet you've got to go on stage and even do Tell Me About Tomorrow. And that, I don't know. I don't even know how you can do that. Even a portion of it.
It's crazy because the cool thing that I got to see on tour, well, first off, in Toronto, I was in Toronto, and basically this anonymous person came up to my opening bandmates. They're called Beauty School Dropout. They're some of my best friends.
Right.
Went up to one of the guys named Bardo and just handed him this wrapped gift and said, give this to Jaden. And he was like, okay. And then he just left. He didn't ask for a picture or anything. And so Bardo gave it to Beepus, who was playing bass for me, who also plays for Beauty School Dropout.
Right.
And then gave it to Hunter. Hunter brought it on the bus. And so I walk on the bus, and it was a bunch of different things that had happened throughout the day. I had walked off stage when everything was clear, and there was just a picture of me and Cooper on the stage.
Just laying there? Like somebody tossed it, or?
Like someone drew it, and then they put it on the stage. But it was crazy because everything was cleaned out. Like, it was completely clean.
Yeah, they pick it up afterwards.
Yeah, and so that was really wild. And I walked out to the bus, and basically we unwrapped this gift, and we opened this book. And long story short, they probably won't understand as much, but the story that associated with Sab, and what she's been working on, the name that was associated with that was the character that this person had written for this book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It just blew my mind because we're in Toronto, and there was no correlation to, like, he had no idea.
How would you know?
You had no idea. And so
I forgot about this.
It was basically the perspective of, like, Cooper was this book, and it was just Cooper saying a lot of positive things to me. And then there was this one part where I had to, like, uncode what it was saying, and I uncoded it, and it was just this crazy moment where it said, I'm proud of you, brother.
Yeah.
And that was crazy because, like, that's that's exactly how he talked to me. I just felt it so heavy, and I haven't had feeling just in general in so long. And when you have something like that, it's so undeniable. You can't really express it to people.
Some people may not believe you, but it's true.
It's true. And I know it's true too, because I'd given up, quite honestly, on, like, a sign. I would see 28, which is great because that was basically our life.
That was your number.
But nothing that, like, felt like a sign. And so for 9 months I'd just been running, and then finally I'd kind of, like, hit this point where I just, like, given up, and I got my first sign, and it took such a weight off my shoulders, dude. Like, how
did it make you feel when you say take a weight off your shoulders? Did it make you feel like, it was okay? What happened?
It was this sense of, it was the first time I really felt like he was speaking to me. Right. And that's something that you can't emulate or exaggerate or, like, make up, when you feel it,
Right.
And that, to me, it gave me peace of, like, I don't know, there's so many thoughts that rush through your head, the amount of guilt that I know all of us feel, but that I've just, like, dealt with for the past 9 months. And just, like, also this sense of, like, abandonment, like, it quite literally, he's not coming back, but his spirit lives on. And I was like, I can't even feel that, it was just very frustrating. So, so many things happened at once, and I hadn't really, again, like I said, I hadn't felt anything. And so I just cried for, like, an hour in front of, Hunter and Shannon, and they were crying, and my whole tour was there. And it was just, like, a very real moment. And I just hadn't had that in so long. And so it was very refreshing just to feel something again. And genuinely from that moment, I felt so much more clear-headed.
This was about when? On November?
This was a month, like a little over a month. This was a month into my tour. So Toronto was, like, halfway around. And it also changed the whole tour too. And the cool thing about the tour was, like, it was literally like a Cooper celebration. Like, the amount of things that I got from fans that were dedicated for it was literally, it was like Cooper's tour. And that
I would see that on social media.
That's the best thing that could have possibly happened for me, because, again, I was in this weird position where everyone's like, why don't you say something? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But they don't understand, like,
it's hard.
I don't need to go online to, like, deal with my things. I've, in a lot of ways, it just makes it so much harder. This was, like, my real best friend, like, my real soulmate. I would have never thought this would have ever happened in my life. So I've been taking a lot of time, as much time as I needed. So, I don't need to say anything or,
you don't.
Because in a lot of ways, there's a lot of expectations from people.
Well, there is. And look, you can't please everybody. We felt it. Like, we said something the day he passed away, the next day. Because one of the things that was really odd for me is, he passed away on the evening of June 9th. The next day is my birthday.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm getting all these birthday wishes from people, like, I got to let people know what happened. Yeah. And then the whole world just changed from that moment on. And so we don't owe anybody anything, but the underlying current with what you've gone through, what we go through, is that we're grieving. And there's a certain point in time where everybody's different, where grief is going to have to get out. It's like it's in us and it has to get out. And I think what's happened with you, and it's also what's happened with me, is there's a time where Cooper has reached out to us and said, like with touching you, like he did there in Toronto, there's a time where you're going to have to let this out. I'm helping you because it's okay. You don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to have feel that there's something you could have done. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what that was about. That happened with me in March. I haven't shared this with.
What month is it? But it's May, right?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't I've shared this with anybody, social media or YouTube or any of that, but I'll share it with you. And there's one other thing as well that you might know of. But I got a phone call from a former neighbor. She's kind of a neighbor. She grew up in Emerald Bay. Her and her husband have moved out. I've helped them with some real estate stuff in the past. But, when we take the dogs in the afternoon to walk in the beach park, I'm down there. Treva and I are down there. I see her. She's in the community playing pickleball with her husband. And because her parents still live there, but she's there playing, said, hi, how's it going? And then we all leave and whatever. It's nice, whatever. And next day I get a voicemail that says, hey, this is me. Good seeing you. I'd like to chat with you. Got a second? Give me a call.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, gee, did I do something wrong? So I call back the next day and I just say that. I say, hey, good to see you.
I'm like, fuck.
I go, but I knew you wanted to chat with me. Is this bad?
Yeah.
And she goes, no, I just wanted to ask you something. She goes, I have had the ability to, where people have passed, sometimes they reach out to me with messages.
Oh, you mentioned this.
Yeah. And so she goes, I have a very strong message request from your son to get you a message. It was so strong that it woke me up in the middle of the night. And so I said, but I just want to see if you want to listen to it. Some people are, don't. Yeah. Whatever. I'm just asking you. And if it's great, yes, no.
That's respectful.
So I said yes. So we started chatting about it. And she told me things that only I would know. And, so I knew, first of all, she's not a whack job. She's a really smart, normal person. And she said, Cooper's got a message for you that he didn't mean for this to happen. It was an accident. It was the furthest thing from his mind for this, but it ended up being too late and he couldn't do anything about it. Wants you to know that he's in a great place, that doesn't want you to feel guilty, doesn't want you to hurt, loves you, wants you to move on. And he's here with you and you will feel him. And there's things for you to do and you'll know when he's leading you on the things to do. And at that time, there were some things that we were like, I was like wondering, been approached to us by certain aspects of the foundation, should we be involved with this? And they were resonating. And I asked her specifically about, because it was related to podcasts and it was related to a couple of the people that we have recently interviewed. And it was like, yes, he wants you to go in that direction because it's going to help people. And then I asked him about somebody else and he gave me some information for that person and said, like, it's nobody's fault. I understand the pain and there's a time for it, but I want you to move on and you need to move on. And one of the messages for you was the same thing, that, you have to move on, but I'm always here with you.
Yeah.
And I felt the extreme amount of guilt and pain leave. And I was happy. I was like, I felt I had a purpose now. I mean, we were all together in the desert over Christmas.
Yeah.
And that month, the beginning of that month, leading up to that time, I was really struggling with suicide.
Yeah.
I never shared it with you, but you were there. Your mom was there. Your sister was there.
Yeah.
And I was at the point where I was thinking about, how am I going to do it?
Yeah.
Like, what would I do? Well, I'm not going to do that. What if it doesn't work?
It gets to that point,
you just get in this negative spinning spiraling thing, and I've never been like that.
It's funny you say that too. Which thank you for telling me that, because I think a lot of people in the world need to see like a strong man be vulnerable about the real thoughts that happen every single day. You know, like you are, you're a fantastic realtor, fantastic dad, fantastic friend. That's someone that is a perfect opportunity for you to be vulnerable enough for people to hear that, because, everyone thinks that you have to be, strung out or whatever to be going through real emotions and real thoughts like that. And that's not the case. But it's funny you say that, because I had a decision to go somewhere else and miss like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something. But I just had this unction and I just like couldn't do it. I was like, I had to spend time with you guys, which I was so grateful for.
It was a really cool time. It was very healing for all of us.
Yeah.
Because it could have been, I just think if we would have all stayed in our own places, I know that I could have very easily ended up in a worse spot.
Yeah, 100%.
But that was really good for all of us.
It was very needed. But that brings up another point too, is like kind of this idea of I think the biggest thing that hurt me after Cooper passed was kind of the response. I was so grateful that, it kind of got as much attention as it did, in the sense of the start of his story being told, because that's all he wanted, and he would have loved, that everyone cared so much that this
And he
had
just
happened.
wanted to help people.
Yeah. And so, but this, for a long time, it was just kind of like videos of Cooper in those last month, when he was strung out and like that stuff. And that pissed me off so much, because I've known Cooper when, for years, and like he was such a healthy kid for so long.
That wasn't Cooper, really.
That wasn't him. And so that was a lot of time where I just couldn't go on. I couldn't say anything because I was just angry, like that's not like this kid. It was so beautiful inside his heart, and even just outwardly, he was just such a handsome kid. And so I really struggled with that whole idea of like people talking about, it's good to talk about people needing help, but not everyone looks like that when they need help. Like Cooper needed help for a long time, and he'd been working and he'd been trying.
Yeah.
And like to the point of what you were just talking about, like it's the outward appearance doesn't mean anything,
No.
And that's why it's very important to have vulnerable conversations and create an opportunity for people to feel safe and like open about how they're actually feeling.
Well, he was so brilliant in starting the Discord, because I didn't even know what a Discord was when everybody was sitting around our house the few days afterwards and said, let's start a foundation. And these are the things Cooper wanted to do. He wanted to support end overdose. He wanted to, he started the Discord and it had just a couple hundred people at the time. He wanted to ultimately create some type of aftercare recovery center that was legit, where people could actually get real help. But the Discord has now blown up to like 250,000 kids around the world. And the one thing that's prevalent, that is the constant on that Discord, is those kids need a place to feel safe and talk. They need to be listened to. They need to be heard. What's fantastic about it, there's other kids there that are responding and saying, hey, I'm here. I'll talk to you. They're offering love, hope, and encouragement. And these are kids around the world. These are kids struggling.
It's crazy you say that. I met like a few of the mods at my shows. They'll come and be like, I was Cooper's mod, or I am Cooper's mod, or I'm on Cooper's advice mod. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Even one of the kids, I don't know if Shreve had shown you yet, but one of the kids, when Cooper would like sell his shoes and stuff, in one of the shows, this kid walked up and he was like, yo, Cooper sold me these shoes. And I was like,
oh, those are the shoes Shreve was looking for.
And I go, bro, I'll give you $1,000 for them right now. And he was
you bought them back, right?
Immediately.
That's right. I think Shreve has them.
And I said, yeah. And because I was just like, those are
insane.
Those are his favorite shoes too. He wore those all the time.
But he would just like, that's not important to me.
He would just
I'll just sell them. So if you want them that bad, you can have them.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't hung up on stuff. He was more about people.
Yeah.
And
he would always want something. He would get something and then he just wouldn't use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd be like, whatever, who cares? He was very, very people oriented.
Yeah.
He loved being around people. He just loved people in general. And whenever he started dating Sab, that's when like, it's so funny because I've gotten to see a lot of different sides of Cooper, and like, they were just such a beautiful couple and they worked together so well. And so,
I know Treva and I talk about it. We were so thankful that at 18 and 19, that he could have experienced a really true love that a lot of people go, 30s, 40s before they ever get mature enough to have something like that, or they never have it in their life.
Yeah.
So we're very thankful. Sab's a really special person.
She's genuinely probably one of the best girls I've ever met in my life.
She's incredible. But we've all been in this struggle together. It's interesting. Really what it is, I think it's grief, and it's how we're all dealing with grief and our relationship with Cooper, our individual relationship, and how we've had to because grief's going to get processed no matter what. Mm-hmm. It is like a childbirth. It's coming. It's a matter of when, but it's coming
for sure.
But we had Emma here a few weeks ago. She struggled.
She's awesome.
I chatted with Anna on the weekend when you guys were over. She struggled. Everybody struggled, but by doing these podcasts, by talking, of these other kids around the world realize, hey, they idolize you, they look up to you. You're just like me. Mm-hmm. I go through the same things too, just like Jane does. Yeah. And like what Harold does and what Emma does, and it helps them to open up, and maybe it's saving some lives. That's the goal. That's what Coop wanted.
Absolutely. That's. I after he passed, and I had to kind of, there's a lot of lessons I've just been having to learn and just realize, but after he passed, I had so much anger that it makes you want to separate, it makes you want to isolate and separate from everybody, because of own personal things, but then I've gotten to a point where, everybody involved, not in just this specific situation, but any situation that rings true to losing someone that you love so dearly, I just have so much, empathy for, and I feel that pain. Yeah. And I really hope that everyone knows that something like this can either destroy you or it can make you so much stronger. And both are very not easy, and nothing like this is easy. There is no good way, but my favorite part of growing after this is our relationship, mine and Treva's, me and Parker, everybody involved, even down to like Jordan, and it really is a sad and simple truth that life is what you make it. And I say it's sad because a lot of people don't believe it, and so they don't do the things to help themselves.
You got a choice. You could either look at this and go, I think like anything else, just go down the dark route, mm-hmm. or you can look at this and say, which is what I chose to do, is like, I struggled with like, why did this happen? Why did this have to happen to us? Why did it have to happen to Cooper? Look at the pain that all his friends and people are suffering from this. But look, I don't believe God is a punishing God. Mm-mm. I believe that this was for a reason. And so I just started praying and asking God to show me what it is that you want from all this to happen and what's my role in it. Make my heart willing for that. And then I get the message from this gal.
That's amazing.
Okay. And then it resonates with me. Doors start opening up for things to do. And we start seeing, I'm happier about it. I have my moments, trust me.
For sure, it's waves.
I'm sure next month's going to be hard on June 9th and June 28th. But there's stuff that happens. Like, I don't know if you know about the photo from Sab's.
That was crazy.
Sab's, what do you call it, like a Polaroid disposable camera?
Yeah, the Fujifilm type thing.
Yeah,
So
this hasn't gone out. We're not going to ever publish the photo, but the story behind this is Sab and Emma are in Morocco doing a photo shoot and a brand shoot, and Sab takes with her a new Fuji disposable camera. It's in the box in the wrapper. And she takes it. Now, doesn't open it up in the United States, takes it to Morocco, takes it on site. There's a day there where she's filming with Emma and a bunch of other girls. And then she comes back home, gets it developed. And then she immediately calls Treva and she goes, you got to see this. So she takes a picture of it and sends it to Treva and me. And there it is. She got it developed. And there's a picture of Sab, that Emma took of her. Then there's a picture of Emma. And in between, there's a picture of Cooper.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. This isn't like your iPhone where you could accidentally airdrop.
No, it's genuinely impossible.
Impossible. And then you look at the sequential numbers. It's like 00, 14, 15, and 16. Like Cooper's 15 in the middle. And you're going, the first thought that comes across my mind, I laugh, I smile, I go, little fucker's fucking with us.
Yeah, he is.
That's the shit he would do.
That's the shit he would do. It's crazy. That's like an
Those
impossible.
are these signs that let you know that I'm here. It's okay, but still I got things for you to do.
Yeah. And that's
And I'm proud of you.
That's the part of that's on us, because a lot of people have those moments and they say no, you know, but you have to have faith. That's undeniable, you know, like that's crazy.
That's undeniable.
Without a doubt. So
when I've shared that with a few
really
people,
cool.
they freak and they look at the
photo's crazy.
Plus the photo's
crazy.
No one's ever seen the photo. And between all of us, we've seen everything. We've never even seen the T-shirt.
No.
We've gone all through his clothes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you were there, you know, and we've dug it up from people and what have you. It's like, wow, this is bizarre. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's really wild.
So anyway, yeah, it's interesting how we all got together, but I knew you were special when I met you. And that was kind of like the beginning of your career.
Yeah,
I mean,
right at the
you hadn't even done your Roxy show yet.
Never performed yet. Yeah, I just released. Cooper was there for the Angels and Demons release. I remember that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was right at the beginning of everything, and I don't know. It's really been, because you know, like I love my mom more than anything, but I really show my family's kind of fallen apart over the last few years. So to have a family here, you know, that it isn't just someone that kind of like I chose, because you know sometimes your family chooses you and you choose your family, and that happened at the beginning for us a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is something that like the universe, God, you know, this brought us together in such a real way that I it's so much deeper than like blood, you know, and it's just so
there's a
beautiful
reason
for
for all this, and look how it's the connection and how it's affected with everybody. Like I don't mean to be leaving out some names, but you look, there's
So
me,
many.
Treva, you, Parker, Shannon, Alana, Sab, Lydia, Emma, Anna, Justin, Jordan, Severin, Christian Severin,
Nessa.
Nessa, Bree, Gavin, everybody, and it goes on and on that feels very tight and connected. Karcher, Landon, it goes, and Parker goes on and on and on, and everybody's very connected, and they stay connected. And you've seen it. I mean, people are at our house. You guys are at our house every 3 weeks or so, just hanging.
Yeah,
like
minimum.
you're hanging with a bunch of old people.
Yeah, yeah. No, we get the best food you've ever had in your life. It's fine.
But I mean, you guys are driving
dining.
an hour and a half to hang with us. Hunter,
yeah.
you know, he just dropped,
God, he's gonna laugh so
he
hard that we
dropped in
forgot.
to see us. He was seeing somebody in Laguna
Oh, really? I didn't know
after your
that.
tour, and he just came back and dropped in.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's the cool part for me, is that's really what it feels like too. Like at any time, I feel like I can just go and I have a place. But that's also on y'all as well. You know, y'all have created that atmosphere, which not everyone would do in this situation. You know, like I said before, some people just close off and stuff. But I think it's been for the benefit of everyone, you know, just being there for each other.
It's helped us, but I just look at how deep that connection is that Cooper had with everyone. And
without a doubt.
And yet, you know, we're all staying together and helping each other. Good times, tough times, more good times. I mean, even Coda.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh. And he's looking good right now. He's thin. He
Got
looks
my
like
haircut.
he's fit right now.
But I mean, I'll tell you, signs that we've had, Cooper is in that dog. I mean, that dog
100%.
behaves like Cooper,
Yeah.
acts like Cooper. He lays
an
in our bed
attention whore.
and he lays on us like Cooper would do when he was around.
Oh, wow, that's so
just
sweet.
little things. And, you know, we see all this and we just go, wow, this is really, it's sad, but it's really cool. And I think it's helping everybody.
100%. It is the last thing that I would have ever wanted to happen, you know. If I could take it back, I would. You know, a lot of people say that if I could take it back, I wouldn't. If I could take it back, I would, but I can't, so I'm not going to fight for it, you know. And that's the thing, is you have to take the opportunity in front of you full on. You know, I thought I could just run and like hide and not have to deal with it.
You can't hide from the grief.
You
have to, it has to be in its own place. I've given somebody this analogy. You've been in the sitting room, like around the guitars and all the books and the pictures and whatever. So I give this analogy that this is like the book of my life. So right now the book is open and laid up in my lap, and there's the chapters about Cooper. And we've actually kind of moved a couple pages with things since June 9th of last year. But we're still in the chapter of Cooper. Eventually, I will move on to different chapters because there'll be chapters with Parker, there'll be chapters with you, chapters with me and Treva, but because life moves that way. But also, we don't forget and it doesn't go away. The book at times may be closed and it'll go back on the shelf in its appropriate place with the other books of my life.
Yeah.
But I can always bring the book out or when it's needed.
Exactly.
And go to those pages that are relevant.
100%.
But it has its place is what I'm trying to say. So by having its place, I'm more acceptable in dealing with just like I want my memories to be of the good things.
Yeah.
And the works that we're doing are really being very helpful.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, the people that have reached out to you on your tour and have given you a lot of stuff. You dropped some things off with us recently.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you're willing to do that.
It's literally like thousands of things.
But other people would be just like, either, too self-centered, too self-focused. I got a job to do. You've been so open and receptive to your fans and people that reach out to you that, and they've, not just because they're giving you stuff, but they're expressing their love for you and your relationship with Coop.
Yeah.
And they know you're hurting and they've created things. Yeah. And to be open with that is really,
Thank you,
not so helpful. You're helping them.
I feel like I've realized that, kind of to the point before, I feel like I could say it a little better way is that, you don't move on because you want to, you move on because you have to, for your own health, for the health of people around you. And so with that, I've done a bunch of different things, but really it's just on my fans. My fans are absolutely amazing. I think the cool part about my music is it reminds me so much of Cooper, like my relationship with Cooper. Cooper was always just so real with me, but he understood me, and that's how I feel about my fans. And we're all in this for the same reason. Genuinely, I think music is the only thing that heals people without us having to really do anything except just be open.
Right.
And because a lot of times that's all you can do. A lot of people don't have the strength to do anything. And so me and Cooper had the same vision. That's why we wanted to start 28 in the first place, is just to give people hope. We wanted to give people the same feeling that Juice WRLD gave us, which was that, we're going to be something, and that where we're at in our life right now is all for a reason. Like, I'm not alone. Like, there are people that love me, and there's people that I don't even know that are going through the exact same thing. And so that's been my whole goal with music. And I found such an amazing, beautiful story through Cooper, because Tell Me About Tomorrow was really interesting. I always wondered why I kind of based this album around someone who was still alive, when I was making the album. And I hate that I like that that was even like the conversation, but it's so crazy to have that. And then now he passed, and then now I have this second album that I'm coming out with, which is kind of like the process that has happened after he passed. Because like we said, we didn't know this was going to happen. No. You know what I mean? We had no idea. So, but I was just so enthralled with Cooper in the first place. I was so obsessed with him, dude. Like, I just loved this kid more than anything. I felt like me trying to help him in whatever way I could was helping me more than he knew.
Well, he always talked to us about him trying to help you.
Exactly.
So you guys were like just, very entwined with each other. It was
literally, and we would text Shannon. I'd be like talking about Cooper, and then Shannon would be like, "That's so funny. He just texted me about you." Right. We were like dating in a very real way. It was so funny. That was like my other girlfriend. You know what I mean?
The bonds of best friends or brothers. You guys are family, and I mean that's how you feel to us.
And so with that, to be quite frank, I thought it would bother me how much Cooper was brought up on tour, just because, again, I was at a very weak emotional state and I was really scared to go on tour. But it made me feel stronger than ever, dude. It made me feel so heard and just understood, and the fact that people knew that Cooper was my best friend, because that's honestly been the hardest part, is that people don't know how close me and Cooper were. And you feel a lot of things. You feel jealousy and selfishness and all these different emotions after someone passes. And that's another reason why I kind of stayed quiet, because I didn't want to make it about me. You know what I mean?
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with the media and the public.
And it was weird. It was weird.
Because then somebody's out there always looking to like create drama out of it. Right. So you have to be very careful. And so that's not what you want to do.
And so I just like, but I mean, this is a really cool spot for me, because I just, my whole legacy, I think, is so intertwined with this exact moment and this past year and just Cooper in general. I think that genuinely, most of my purpose is from Cooper, you know, and God has really shown me that. And so I've really tried to lean into that on tour and doing a bunch of things that I just felt were right for him. You know, nothing's right. Nothing like isn't the right way or the wrong way, you know.
It's just your way.
It's just my way. And so I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate everyone that's been so loving and caring, because it's really just about continuing to start. You don't know. And I would love for you. We have a lot of like film from this last tour of people just talking about it, but you should come out to some shows and come to the meet and greets. I think it could be a cool part for you, but genuinely everyone, they're like, I can't even express accurately the emotion that they give, but it's the most genuine, authentic emotion about how like they're like, they come up to me and they're like, Cooper saved my life. We get that all the time. At first I'm like, okay, it's kind of rhetorical, but then people drill down and tell us specifically how. No, seriously. Like they were on the edge of like killing themselves. With him more than anyone, because he talked to everyone, dude. He actually talked to so many people. I don't even know how. I don't know how he would get their number or Discord or he would text. Or he would just. I have no idea how he did it. I was around this motherfucker for literally like 22 hours of the day, and this man talked to thousands of people. Here's a story. Never saw. I know you know the story on your first tour when he's up there in a balcony and there's a gal in the front. There's a gal in the front row or second row who's crying during your concert. So he tells Shannon to let security. He's going to go down there, and he goes, wait, we're going to do what? He goes, I'm going to go down in the front row. He goes, this girl needs a hug. So he goes down there, talks to her for about 15 minutes. And in the middle of the concert. It's so funny. Then they gives a hug. They exchange numbers. He comes back up. Concert's over. You guys are back in the bus. You know, he shows Shannon what's going on. He says, hey, like, don't make this public, but shows her the text. This gal was going to commit suicide. And the last thing she wanted to do was see your concert before she killed herself. And then all of a sudden, Cooper comes down there, talks to her, hugs her. They talk about it. She goes, I decided I'm going to live. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this is like God's angel is like, there's work to be done, man. It's like, it was insane how it started before. Yeah. You know? Yeah. People just don't know how much that kid loved people, you know, and it sucks so hard because it sounds selfish to say, but you know, he just loved me so hard, and I miss that, you know, and I know y'all do too, and but that's why it's so important to stay present, you know, because he's still trying to give that love in so many different ways, and I was running from it for so long, and so that's why I'm so grateful for the moment I had in Toronto. And that's why I'm so much more focused on being myself and taking care of myself. That way I can continue to feel him more and more, you know? There was a moment, because I've seen some film on it. I don't know the venue. I wasn't there. Maybe it was New York or Jersey, but up top was Shannon and Parker, and you were he was. Everybody's seen the video where Cooper's standing up on the railing, looking down at the stage. That was a Paramount. It's where you and Kenji and you're talking about Coop, but you went up there and then Talker sang. I didn't see the whole thing. So we went back to the same venue, and that one was really crazy because everyone in that venue, almost half of the people that were there at the last show, and so they all knew. They were all there for Cooper, you know, like it was a very evident. And that was a very viral piece of video that went around, you know, on social media. And it was really fun and positive that you're talking about it. And there he is, he likes whatever. And it was just great film of you guys. Yeah. And so now you're back to that venue performing again. And you go up there to where he was. That one, and that was last minute too. I just really been, I was really emotional day for me, but it wasn't like depressing. It was just, I felt the weight, and it was very important for me that I just, you know, made that show about Cooper more than any of the other shows. And so I told them I wanted to go up to that point where he stood, because that video went everywhere. And so I went up there, and then when I got up there, I just like lost it. Like I didn't perform well, and I really didn't even sing most of the song. I just lost it because it was weird. I could feel him standing there. You know, it was such an incredibly real moment. I look over, and Shannon and Parker are just wailing. Yeah. Everybody around there is crying. It was really cool. But you know, you performed well. Thank you. I remember I stuttered, and I was like crying and stuff. And I could hear Cooper in my head be like, you fucking idiot. You sound so stupid right now. And I'm like, but that made me so happy because like, that was another thing that I miss too about Cooper is his humor, man. Like me, I've never really found anyone that has the exact same humor as me. He had the exact same humor as me, completely out of pocket, you know what I mean? Just like, but always right on time. And like me and him would like, we spent a lot of our time in the car because we just loved like driving
and music,
music,
yeah.
you know, and we would just do. He was just outlandish. I remember when I first started hanging out with him, I just got my car, and like I said, Cooper would defend me to like anybody, right? He was like my best friend, and especially when we first started hanging out, he was really on that wave. And so I'd be driving, and somebody would like cut me off, and this is a very real story. And he like immediately they cut me off, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he rolls down the window and takes off his shoe and he starts leaning out the car and he like starts barking at these people on the highway. And I was like, we're on the highway. He like took off his shoe like he was about to throw it at the car. And I was like, what is that going to do,
Exactly.
dude? But he just little things like that. Like I couldn't find another person to do that if I tried. And so that's the cool part for me is it's almost like, you know, when you get something special and you put it in like the shadow box or like the glass case, that's kind of how I'm starting to feel about mine and Cooper's relationship.
Yeah.
Is I'm putting it in the glass case, you know, I'm giving it the respect and spotlight it deserves. But knowing that that's what it is, it's very rare. You're not going to find another one like that.
It's the message that was given to me for you and Sab that, you know, you got to move on, but there's stuff for you to do. And I'm always going to be here looking out for you. But, you know, I've got to let you go to move on.
100%.
And it was such an interesting message, but it's so true for all of us. But it allowed me to let go of the guilt and a lot of the shame that I was just eating myself up inside. And now I can actually, you know, function.
Yeah.
I don't have those thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
They don't even remotely appear. But man, I have a glimpse of how people can get to dark points in their lives.
Yeah.
And so it makes me more empathetic to want to help where I can.
That's why I think this is just so wonderful, you know, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it because I just like podcasts in general, but I think this specifically is such a, you know, people listen to podcasts for all sorts of reasons, but being able to be vulnerable.
I don't think you've done this with anybody else yet.
I've never done a podcast.
Well, you and I have not talked about Cooper to this degree before.
No,
I mean, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And at some point in time, we were going to sit down and talk about it.
Without a doubt.
But
I think I've done I've done like a few podcasts like years ago, but it's been 2 years minimum since I've been on a podcast for a whole sorts of different reasons.
Yeah.
But I like keeping my mouth shut online in general, but this is something that it's no longer beneficial to keep your mouth to not talk about because his story is so important. And my story with him, I think, is very important. And I just want to help people, you know, just like he would want. So that's where I'm at mentally now. Okay,
so let me ask you, let's switch to ask a couple things here. You just finished a tour.
Yes.
You've got some new things coming out. I think another tour. Mm-hmm. And I think you have some music coming out. So like what's next for Jaden Hosler?
Next, quite literally, is Elevated Heartbreak. And that song is very important for me, very important to this situation. Even just the phrase Elevated Heartbreak I had never heard before, and I was in my room creating with Bardo, who was the one that gave the book, you know.
Right,
so it's all really cool, intertwined. Sorry, but that was another thing. I moment in Toronto that was really cool for me is it felt like Cooper, because he passed the book through my other best friends.
Yeah.
Like he was like, okay, I'm glad that you're friends with them. You know what I mean? And that was a cool thing for me. But I have Elevated Heartbreak coming out, which is, I think, going to be one of my biggest songs ever. It's the most personal to me for sure. Talks about loss, talks about heartbreak. And I try to put it in a point so everyone can feel it because, you know, death is very specific, but a lot of things can feel like a complete just loss. You know, I don't think the death of Cooper is really what destroyed me. It's just, it was the loss of Cooper, you know?
Yeah, that's the loss.
And that may sound like kind of weird and what I guess semantics of everything, but yeah, I see it a little differently because, you know, you can go through a lot of loss in life, but this was just the most elevated loss I've ever been
this
through.
is about how deep a loss you can go.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I mean,
I personally have never experienced anything worse than this, and so
neither have we.
this is a really cool song for me to kind of talk about it. And then I'm going into my album, which is called Life's Full of Bumps,
Right.
which is really cool. So a little backstory on that is after Cooper passed, we had been going through his stuff, through his apartment with his family. And we stumbled upon a notebook. Ultimately, in the notebook, he wrote Life's Full of Bumps. And we were all like, we had never seen him say that before.
No.
It was very odd.
It was for you.
Yeah. And so we're driving back one day from their house, and we're pulling into LA, and we stop at the stoplight, and we're just crying, and we're like, for some reason, looking at this picture that he wrote in his notebook, and it's me and Shannon, and we look up in the car, and it literally says "Life's Full of Bumps" on the overpass in spray paint. And so that was one of the craziest.
I hope you photographed it.
We did. We have it.
That'd be a great album cover.
Yeah, seriously. I think that's what it's going to be. There might be a little altercations, but so that was crazy, and that was the beginning of this whole process. And all of these songs I've been making over the past year and a half, and half of them are probably about that old. The other half are new, and I've been working on this new tour. I mean, my past tour. So I'm done now, and I'm very excited about the music. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Comes out about when?
The end of June.
June.
I can say this here is actually a good spot. I was going to release it on June 28th, but just because, I was like, oh, that's Cooper's birthday, I wanted to do it because it's for him. But over like thinking and just how it would make me feel, I'm not putting it out on the 28th just because that's his birthday.
Right.
I just want it to be about him. So I kind of misled people a little bit on tour just because I got excited, but it's coming out very soon after then. Okay. But yeah, that day is just going to be for him and y'all's family. So but Life's Full of Bumps is coming soon, and then I'm going on a tour, another headline tour at the end of the year.
Are you going out of the country for that or here?
So I'm doing a headline tour in America to tour this album, and then I'm going to Europe to finally go over there. And so we'll be dropping those dates soon, which is really cool. I'm very excited about Europe because I've never been over there to perform, and I really think people are going to love it. I think it's perfect for over there.
Good.
Yeah.
Jaden, is there anything that you want to say to our viewing audience, which is pretty much, your generation? Anything you want to say about, words of encouragement about mental health, or words of encouragement, or anything about Coop, or anything about you? Just, some words of love and advice you might want to share, or anything you've learned?
For me personally, I think there's this misconception of, you got to fix yourself. You have to kind of, find the right and wrong of who you are. And I really struggled with that because I'm such an extreme person, either completely on a high or on a very low. And recently I've been trying to focus on the gray, just because, feelings come and go. I've noticed that. There's been times where I wish I had feelings. Like after Cooper passed, I felt like I felt nothing. There's been times where I felt so many feelings where I felt like I couldn't move. And I feel like I've noticed a lot of people in the world make decisions based off feelings, which can sometimes work out good. But I've noticed emotional decisions are just dangerous, and so going through life, not basing it off of a feeling, and knowing that just because it feels good doesn't make it right. Because I've done a lot of things that have felt good and it ended up hurting me.
That comes with maturity too. If you have more life experiences and more under your belt, you have to make a little bit more, let's say, more conscious decisions.
For sure. Yeah. And ultimately that just comes down to, for me, my own goal right now is if I can just be myself, which sounds like, oh, just be yourself. But genuinely, if I can continue to do the work to find the things that bring me peace and bring me joy and make me feel level-headed, then ultimately that's like a chain reaction for those who are around me and those who kind of look up to me. So I encourage people just to find out who you really are, what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel whole, what makes you feel like you have a purpose. And you can do that in a very simple way. And then above everything else and above everything in life, I genuinely think that love is the only thing that leads to change.
I agree.
I don't think judgment or, whatever other device you want to say to like make something happen, I don't think it's very beneficial. I think love is the only thing that really impacts a person. It can impact a nation. It can impact the world. So Just love people. In order to love people, love yourself.
You know, people struggle with who they are. And it's like, but this is who we are. And we're constantly evolving. And there's some things about ourselves that we like and we don't like, but we have the power to change that, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think you said it very succinctly. It's like, it's okay to like who you are. It's okay to love who you are. And sometimes we just, turn our head to that and bury our head in the sand and don't even want to deal with it. And we're actually okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody struggles with something. No one grows up or is born that doesn't struggle.
Yeah.
And we're kind of brought up in this society that if it's physical, it's okay to struggle. If you break a leg or get an appendicitis, but if it's something mental associated, it's dark, it's weak, it's not to be spoken about. No, this is how we evolve by, looking into ourselves and, listening to what other people say, but considering the source and taking it with a grain of salt. Is there truth? Or is there not truth? Is it genuine? Is it not genuine? It's like Cooper. He could reflect to you real true values about who you were. Yeah. And that reflection was a real good reality test. And also, if you're acting like a knucklehead, he would call you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, he would do that with me. Dad, you're not being fair about this. You're not being realistic about it. And I would listen to it and realize he's right, And I also realized he was growing up and he had opinions about himself, what he wanted to do. Yeah. And
having an open conversation is very important too. I've noticed like I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with. And so surrounding yourself with good people, there's a lot of little things you can do. There's a lot of little things. It feels like there's a big weight. Like you have to make this giant change, this giant move. That's how I felt so much in my life. I have to change everything overnight. That's not how it works.
No, there's no time. There's no reason to hurry up and do all this stuff. It's like you take it in its time and, there's a pathway for you. Yeah. You have a path.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this has been part of your path. And you have a very brilliant, shining path ahead of you.
Thank you.
I was there when you did your first gig at the Roxy. I saw stuff on tour, your first tour. This second tour, oh my gosh, you were like completely a different, super talented, super professional, super good, super polished, prepared, completely different. Like this kid made it. He's like in that level, controlling the audience. You got yourself prepared for it. It's like, this is rock star Jaden. This is good. and your music's great. But I mean, you're maturing and it's in a good way. You're crushing it.
Thank you.
You should be very proud of what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
I remember my old coach used to say this, you can be pleased with how you're doing, but don't be satisfied.
I like that.
And keep going after it.
I love that. Yeah, I think, it's really just the music, man. Music has saved my life. I really hope that people can just find something to believe in that's bigger than themselves, Yeah. And I think that'll give you a good start on whatever else you want to do in your life.
Well, we're going to have zillions of people around the world watch this because this is going to come out next month.
Let's go, dude.
And, and I know on my way up here, I was praying and I asked for Cooper to be in here with us and I could feel it. And I just didn't want to say anything, but it was like, because I came in, I talked to Zanj, I go, I really don't know what I'm going to do on this one. I kind of just like, I think we'll maybe just talk about this and see where it goes. And it went well. I'm thankful that you came, thankful that you would open up because this is a tough subject for all of us.
Yeah.
But you're really special.
Thank you,
You're
man.
part of our family. When I first met you, I was like, who the fuck is this guy on tats, man?
Everybody.
Right? And then, but as we got to know you, it's like, just like our second son. Anyway, just want to say thanks. Love you. You're always welcome. Man. You're part of our family. You're always welcome in our home. We'll be there for everything you do in your future.
I appreciate that. This is the first of many. And we're going to do a lot of cool things together. Yeah. We're already doing a lot of cool things that are coming out soon. So stay involved. Also,
come here. I love you, buddy.
So much, man.
I know, seriously. Man. You're my son that's here now.
Dude, you are my father figure. More than you know that. More than you know. But also, happy birthday, Coop. We love you, man.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And for more information, please follow us at thecoopsadvicefoundation.org.